Welcome. We're going to give it a couple minutes to get everyone into the room before we start. All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Gamma Chapter's Gamma Talk for Women's History Month. We are excited to present to you a wonderful talk with Dr. Joanne Frederick. But first, let's tell you about our organization. We are the illustrious business and professional women of Iota Phi Lambda Sorority Incorporated in Washington, D.C., Gamma Chapter. We are a nationally recognized organization and coalition of over 70 plus chapters and growing. We offer services in education, scholarships, professional development, and community outreach. With that said, I am Alicia Charleston Akoff, currently serving as the first vice president of Gamma Chapter, and I am also the chairperson for the programs and Gamma Talks series. Gamma Chapter of Washington, D.C. is proud to present tonight. Awesome speaker. She is fantastic. She is talented, and she has plenty of resources in the mental health and wellness field. We are also in, like I said, Women's History Month, and it is also Mental Health Awareness Month. So we will welcome Dr. Joanne Frederick in a minute. But first, I want to introduce our chapter president, Mrs. Vonetta B. Martin.
Thank you, Sister Alicia, and welcome everyone. Good evening, everyone. Again, my name is Vonetta Martin. I am the chapter president for Gamma Chapter here in Washington, D.C. Thank you for joining us for tonight's Gamma Talks event. We are excited to have you here as we engage in an insightful discussion on health and wellness. We are so very honored to have Dr. Frederick with us to share valuable information from her industry, updates, expert insights, and some practical tips to support mental well-being. As we are in Mental Health Awareness Month, this is a perfect opportunity to gain tools that foster resilience, balance, and overall wellness. So sit back, take notes if you will. If not, just simply listen. And let's make this an informative and engaging session. Sister Alicia, back to you.
All right. Now I want to introduce our keynote speaker, Dr. Joanne Frederick. She's a dedicated and prominent mental health advocate, educator, and philanthropist. She is also proud to announce her participation as a contestant in the prestigious Miss Corporate America Maryland competition. Dr. Frederick, affectionately known as Dr. J, has dedicated her career to breaking barriers in mental health awareness and advocacy. She brings her passion and excitement and leadership to the national stage. Her campaign slogan is "We Rise," rejuvenate, inspire, support, enlighten, speaks to what she stands for. She has also dedicated her work to empowering individuals and couples to navigate life challenges with resilience and confidence by integrating faith and mental health. She's a licensed therapist serving the DMV area, and she is CEO and lead consultant of JFL Associates Counseling Services. She's also a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated and also Iota Phi Lambda Sorority Incorporated. She also serves as the associate professor and co-chair at George Mason University, mentoring and training the next generation of counselors. Even with all this, Dr. J still makes time to give back to the community. She leads a nonprofit organization, the Hope Center of Carmody Hills, which provides mental health services to faith-based communities that would otherwise go unseen. She's also the author of Copeology, which can be found on Amazon, an anthology delving into the integration of spirituality and resilience when overcoming life challenges. She has garnered national media attention from outlets such as ABC7, Allure, and Forbes Health magazine. Dr. J's participation in Miss Corporate America Maryland parallels her lifelong commitment to mental health advocacy. She was raised in Brooklyn, New York, and grounded in her Trinidadian American heritage. She's a proud mother of 3 children and a beloved Yorkie. Her motto is "Let's Talk," which highlights her passion and purpose to promote mental health. Now, without further ado, I give you Dr. Joanne Frederick. Welcome, Dr. Joanne. How are you tonight?
Thank you. Thank you for asking. I'm doing well. I thank the ladies of Iota Phi Lambda Sorority Incorporated Gamma chapter for having me here today. I also want to thank the audience. Today is, not today, the month is Women's History Month. So happy Women's History Month to all of the ladies out here. And then I'm going to jump right in a little bit about me. Similar, all the stuff you said, but just kind of wrapping it up there. So currently I hold the Miss Prince George's County for Miss Corporate America title. So if you see me with my crown, that is why. I also have a sash. I don't know if you can see that. But on March 22nd, I will be going for the state title, which is Miss Corporate America Maryland. And so at the end of the presentation, I'll talk a little bit more about that, and I'll also share how you all can support me. Next slide. All right, so today we are going to talk about the importance of mental health, especially during these times. If you have any questions, please feel free to drop it in the chat, but we do have a question and answer period towards the end. So mental health has always been a crucial part of our overall well-being. And I'll give an example of how and why I even became a mental health professional and an advocate. When I was a kid, I would say 5 years old, I remember my mother telling me in her Trinidadian accent, "Darling, when you get older, if you run into any problems, talk about it to somebody." And I would look at her like, what is she talking about? I'm 5 years old. Well, by the time I was 13, I witnessed people in my family, both sides, dealing with mental health issues. So when I was about 14, which is high school, I took psychology 101, and that's how I knew that this was my purpose and this was my calling. In a nutshell, what I noticed by the time I was like 16, the people who took care of their mental health in my family, meaning that they went to talk therapy, they took prescribed medication, and sometimes a combination of both, are well and doing great today. The people who neglected their mental health, didn't do anything, they are no longer with us. And a couple of them uh, died by suicide. That is my story of what brought me into this field. And as I shared, with the fast paced changes and the stress that we experience in the world today, this is why mental health is so critical and important to us. In recent years, there's been global events, societal changes, and even personal changes that we've experienced that has caused an unprecedented stress level on individuals. As we go through this presentation, I'm going to share more about why mental health is important, give you some tips that you can walk away with. Also, feel free to screenshot the slides if you have your camera in front of you so that you don't necessarily need to take notes unless you choose to. Next slide. So, what are some of the challenges we face? I'm going to list 4 of them, and then I'm going to talk a little bit more detail about each of them. So, number one, we not that long ago came out of a pandemic and isolation. That's the first thing. The other thing is the economic uncertainty. The third thing is social media. And the fourth thing is political and global stress. 4 things. The first one, the pandemic isolation. If you remember, what was it, about 2 years ago, that we were actually isolated and locked down, and we had a lot of fear due to pandemic. Well, it is 2 years later, and it's still, or 3 years, there is still an impact on us in terms of living in a pandemic that we used to live in, and the isolation. It has had a long-term effect on us. So we can see that a lot with children in schools. We see it a lot with adults, the way we socialize, the things we avoid doing. The other thing is the economic uncertainty. We already know there are a lot of people who have lost their stable jobs. There are a lot of financial instability, and the economic recession are stressors for many, many people. The other thing, social media. There is an increased use of social media, and that leads to anxiety and depression. So, what that looks like, many people scroll through social media, and that is Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Um, what's this other one? Well, X, I guess they call it. Um, and as they're scrolling through, they look at what people are posting, and they become, I'm gonna use this word, jealous. They also have this fear of missing out. They feel like they're not doing enough. Everyone's life looked great except for theirs. That's how most people feel when they're going through. And then they also see things that's on the news, or things that are happening that's triggering. So for example, I was standing next to someone today, and they were scrolling through, and then there was this big fight, and it looked like a police officer was getting in a fight with a group of civilians, and it was a big thing. Well, all of that is stressful, is scary. It leads to depression and sadness and anxiety. And then the other thing we have on here is the political and global stress. When I talk about global stress, I'm referring to the climate change, right? So, for example, it is, I don't know, today was about 70 something degrees. That's not necessarily normal. We just hit spring. Actually, no, we're not even in spring yet. I think it's next week. I don't know. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. I know we just had the time change. So we technically in winter, and that is not normal. And so it's a lot of stress for people who particularly are concerned about the climate change. There's a lot of political instability, and there is a health crisis. Some of what we know about, some we don't talk about, some we hearing about it, but we're not sure. So for example, I live in Prince George's County, and on the news about 2 days ago, 2 students died within the school system of the flu. We don't really hear about that. Um, these days. So these are concerns that is stressful for individuals. Next slide. So all of what I spoke about can have an impact on our mental health, particularly a poor mental health. So let me describe mental health right quick. So we all have mental health. We use that word generally, but it ranges. It ranges from poor to well. And so some of the things that can contribute to poor mental health is our physical health effects. So that is the stress we experiences, anxiety, depression, and all of this does relate to physical health. So heart disease, high blood pressure, diabetes, and weakened immune system, all of it hand in hand. Then we have the emotional and cognitive effects. We can have and experience impaired memory, concentration, and difficulty in managing our emotions when our mental health is poor. So, an example of what that looks like is, let's say you're driving and someone in another car cuts you off. And then you get upset and agitated and start chasing this person down in person and carrying on. All of that is a high level of stress, and it's a little difficult to manage those emotions. Then we have strain on our relationships. This can have an increased mental health challenge. It creates tensions in personal and professional relationships when we are having issues in our relationships, whether they are relationships at home, relationship with friends, at work, and family members as well. The economic impact, spoke about that a little bit. That decreases our productivity. So in January, I wrote an article on productivity and mental health, how it goes hand in hand, and it does. So when our mental health is poor, we tend to be absent to things that we want to go to. So that could be from work, that could be hanging out with friends and family, that could even be going to organizations such as church. We kind of tend to be absent a little bit. And when there is a loss of income for individuals, again, we struggle mentally. Next slide. So earlier I said it matters more now than ever. Why is that? Number one, we are more educated about mental health awareness. Ever since the pandemic, paying attention to mental health and self care has been something that people in general have paid more attention to. Some of that also came out of social media. So, a lot of social media, let me say, like TikTok, for example, they would show a lot of things on like different diagnosis, like educational stuff, or even people putting out there that they have a therapist. We see more therapy apps available in commercials. Another reason why it's important is we are working remotely and there's a lot of virtual communication. So, yes, many industries have had to go back to work in person, but there are still quite a few people that are working remotely or at least 1 or 2 days out of the week working from wherever they want to be. So, at home, libraries, coffee shops, and even sometimes on travel. These working conditions can create unique challenges for mental health. And what that means is that we have to adapt. Some of the challenges are, again, the loneliness, the isolation, you and a computer working, or you and a telephone. That can be isolating for many individuals. There's a collective stress here as well. That's the shared global experiences and challenges that can affect a person's resilience and their coping mechanisms. We're going to talk a little bit more about coping mechanisms later. And then there's an opportunity for change. The rise of mental health conversations offers an opportunity to create lasting positive change. So, for example, us being here today, us recording this and sharing it to other people, we are opening dialogue, including me sharing my story. I tell people that when you share your story, the healing begins. Everyone have a secret, but when we start talking about it, that is when our mental health increases. Next slide. So, how do we maintain our mental health? There's a couple of things we can do. Number one, we can practice self-care. Prioritize our activities that help us relax and recharge. So, for example, exercise. We should be moving our bodies every day, some form, walking, climbing, running, anything that you enjoy doing. You should have hobbies. What is it that you like to do? And as I say that, I'm trying to think of, well, what is my hobby today? These days, my hobby is self-care. And I'll talk more about that. And spending quality time with friends and family that you enjoy to be around. These should be priority activities in our lives daily. Another thing, seek professional help. Don't hesitate to talk to a therapist or a counselor when it's needed. I always say, even the therapists need a therapist, so why don't you? So, what that means is when life feels overwhelming and you've talked to your friends and your family, and they're a little tired of hearing you with the same conversation, the same issue, they start cutting you off, they stop listening. You need to talk to a professional person who is trained, who is unconditional, non-judgmental, and they are helping you go through whatever you're going through. You need to set boundaries. We need to set boundaries. We should limit our exposure to news that is unhappy. So what that means, well, some people like to watch the news every day. You can, but make sure it's between 45 minutes to an hour and you're done. Matter of fact, if you think about it, if you watch the news longer than an hour, it starts repeating. You're hearing the same thing you've heard before. It's time to take it off. You can't take in but so much. Um, and that is creating a healthy boundary. Also with social media, when you go on social media, time yourself 20 minutes, 10 minutes, 30 minutes, put it aside. Stay connected with people, foster relationships. I tell people relationships is a two-way street. It takes both of us to stay connected. And I say that because I'm sure many of you can think of that friend or family member. Hey, you didn't call me. Well, the question is, did you call me as well? Two-way street. Takes an effort to keep the connection together. The connections, I think, preferably should be in person, but also virtually you can stay connected using social media, telephone, text. Stay connected. Practice mindfulness and meditation techniques. These techniques reduce stress and promote emotional well-being. So since we're there, I want us to practice breathing. So what I want you to do, I want you to sit in a comfortable position. And I want you to breathe in slowly and deeply and breathe out. You're going to breathe in again and watch your chest rise. And breathe out. Breathe in your nose and out through your mouth. And I challenge you to do that periodically throughout the day. The other thing is when you cry, because we do cry and crying is okay, make sure you're breathing. Make sure you open your mouth and let it out. Okay? These are mindfulness and meditation techniques that we can use anytime, any place, and it is free. Next slide. Remember to keep a support system. And these support systems should be family, friends, community resources, and even workplace mental health initiatives. So the family and friends, keep connected with them, stay connected. Make sure that support system and network is strong. It is key to your mental health. Access community resources. There are support groups, there are wellness programs. And then in the workplace, there are EAP programs, employee assistant programs, where they allow you to get a certain amount of counseling sessions for free. There are wellness challenges at places of work or employment. And this is to help you deal with any mental health struggles. There are accommodations at work that you may need, frequent breaks, maybe work from home a couple of days. You can access these accommodations through your employment. Next slide. Taking action. So again, normalize mental health conversations. Let's talk. My motto is let's talk. What are we talking about? Well, we're going to talk about, well, how are you feeling today? And really share if someone asks you how you feeling. But what's even more importantly is listen to them. When we listen, we should be silent. When we listen, we should give eye contact, head nods, and we can say, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. We don't jump in and say, oh, it's funny that you said that because this is what happened to me today. That's not listening. That's taking someone else's story. So this is how we have to normalize mental health conversations. We're trying to reduce the stigma. We have to advocate for mental health. We have to support policies and initiatives that promote the mental health or mental well-being in organizations and systems. Let's also self-educate. Always learn about mental health to better understand it and better support others. So the way we all showed up here today, there's something we're going to get that is going to be helpful to ourselves and someone else. So in conclusion, what are we saying? That mental health is important in our everyday overall health and well-being, especially when times are challenging. We have to recognize it's important to seek help when needing, and we need to support one another so that we can be a resilient society. I have some resources that I'm going to talk about next to help with more tools in your toolbox to help with mental health awareness. Okay. Before that, I guess we'll do the questions and discussion.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Joanne Frederick.
You're
Yes, so if everyone has any questions, hopefully everyone does, put them in the chat now. I'm gonna start this off. Thank you. First of all, that was an amazing presentation. My
Thank you.
first question to you is, now that we as a community, since now that we're embracing mental health and accessing professionals, can you give us some tips on how to vet a mental health professional?
Oh, yeah. I love that question. Thank you. So, the first thing is, it's easier said than done. It is not necessarily easy to find a mental health professional these days. I know that for several reasons. One, I am in academia. I'm an associate professor at a university, and we train therapists to get out there and work. And so we're training school counselors and clinical mental health counselors. And so we know that there are not enough of us out there for when people are reaching. So that being said, that means that when you are looking for a mental health therapist, a social worker, a counselor, a psychologist, a psychiatrist, anyone in the helping field, um, you can check your health insurance. That's a good place to go first. You can also go to psychologytoday.com. You put in your zip code and you can put in different queries. But I'll tell you, the more queries you have, the least likely and the harder it's going to be. So a query means I'm looking for a Black female, ages 20 to 45, lives in my area, and I don't know, speaks Spanish. If we have, the more queries we have, the harder it is to find that person. So what we always want to do is look for multiple people in multiple places and reach out. Send an email, phone calls. Your biggest thing you're trying to do is get an appointment or a consultation. When you have this person virtually or in person, you want to meet with them at least 3 times before you say, nah, I don't want this person. I say that because it's a relationship, right? And so you want to get a feel of this person, they want to get a feel of you, but one session is not going to be enough. But it's also okay that if there is not a fit, to move on from that person. I look at it as buying a new pair of shoes. We
Mhm.
need shoes to wear. How many times, because I know I just did this yesterday, I went into a store, I saw these shoes, they were absolutely beautiful. I asked for my size, they didn't have it. So I move on, get another one that I saw, looked good, they had my size, I put it on, and it was not good. It was uncomfortable. I had to put that back. Same thing shopping for a mental health therapist. The credentials may look good, but when you meet with them 2, 3 times, you don't feel a fit. It's not what you're looking for. It's okay to say, hey, thank you, but I think I'm looking for something else. So that question that I just answered, it's a process. So be patient with that process, be patient with yourself, reach out to people like me to say, hey, I need help finding X, Y, and Z. But we're gonna take your time and find it, and you'll get somebody, but we just got to be creative. Sometimes we may have to look outside of the field that you're looking in. So for example, I'm a mental health therapist, I am a counselor. When I have a counselor, I usually like a social worker or
Mhm.
psychologists. So they all kind of sort of do similar. And so, you need to be aware of that because many people don't know that, right? Many people know like one of the words and they may not even know what the difference is between all of these 4 or 5 industries that I just mentioned.
Oh, wow. Thank you. I didn't realize it was such a process, but that makes sense. It is a relationship. Thank you for that.
You're
I just
welcome.
learned something. Um,
Mhm.
do you have a question, Sovernet? Do you want me to continue?
Yes, I can, yes, thank you. So I just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you so much, Dr. Joanne. Your personal story kind of hit a little bit for me because my background is of Caribbean parentage from Trinidad and Tobago. So I'm going to
Oh,
ask you this
ready to be
question.
born.
How was your Caribbean American heritage influenced your approach to mental health and counseling?
Yeah, thank you. So my identity that I had to learn that I tell people is that I'm bicultural. I am first generation American. What that meant for me was growing up, I didn't really understand like who, why, where, because growing up, I was in Trinidad often. And when I was in Trinidad, I was a Yankee. I didn't quite fit
Mm,
in. And when
mm,
I was here and I grew up in New York, I was this is what they used to say, that I'm not black. And I'm like, I'm black. But I think what they meant was you're not black American. And I am, but my family isn't. So what that did, it first taught me that I am who I say I am. So
mhm,
you are who you say you are, not what somebody else says that you are, right? So that was my first
mm,
lesson. But then after that, what it also taught me was to be open to someone's identity, who they say they are. And
mm,
so that has helped me a lot being a therapist to accept people where they are. Another
mm,
thing that was helpful was religion and faith. So I grew up in a Pentecostal household, but I learned later on that Pentecostal is like really strict. You don't wear certain things, you don't do this, you know. My household was not like that. My mother well, she's retired now, a cosmetologist. They owned a beauty salon in New York. So everything was about beauty, hair, nails, face, clothes, all of that. And we would go to church. I understand. In Pentecostal church was from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. while people are, talking in tongues and feeling it. And it was a Caribbean church. So there was gospel music to reggae and calypso. It was exciting. We would go for about an hour or two, and my parents would take us to the park and we would have a good time. That was
mm,
Sunday. Monday through Friday, I went to Catholic school. On
mm,
Wednesdays, I'm in mass. Total different experience. So eventually I started questioning, well, which one is right? And no one could answer. So what I realized that they all were right or correct. But religion is a way to, one, nurture your spirituality. Everyone have a spirituality or spirit, but we don't all nurture it through religion. Some of us nurture it through going outdoors and taking in the sun, looking at the sky, listening to the birds.
Mhm.
Um, and so it all is a difference. So that being said, faith and mental health became my platform. In therapy, we talk about everything, but one of the things that many people shy away from is spirituality, your faith,
Mhm.
religion. How do you use that to cope with what you're going through? So, that Trinidadian American heritage that I just described is what helped me be a good therapist and accept people for who and where they are.
Wonderful. Sister Alicia, we have a question in the audience. We'd love to hear from the audience.
Yes.
Yes.
Virginia Jones.
Good evening.
Hi,
Good evening,
Sister
Dr.
Virginia.
J.
Hey,
Hey,
sister.
I do have a question though. So, what is the difference between a social worker, a licensed nurse therapist, a psychologist, a psychiatrist? Because one day I was looking and I got so overwhelmed. I'm like, okay, which one do I even want to like see or talk to or interact with? It was like I didn't couldn't tell the difference. Or
Exactly. Yeah, that's a great question. So they all are helping professions. They are all great to work with any of us. But here are some of the differences. A psychologist usually works with maladaptive behaviors. And so that could be schizophrenia, bipolar. Like they are trained to work with some tough cases. A nurse practitioner can also do counseling, but they can also prescribe medication. So that's a good place to be as well, a nurse practitioner. A counselor, like who I am, we do talk therapy and it's normally for day-to-day issues, finances, relationships, um, work, job loss. But I do not prescribe medication and I don't specialize in diagnosing. So a psychologist going back can do a lot of diagnosing as well, testing. A psychiatrist prescribes medication. They don't really do talk therapy. You might find few, but they're the ones that when you go to the counselor or social worker, they say, hey, look, you might need some mental health medication to kind of help you get over that hump, help you deal with that anxiety. A psychiatrist might prescribe, along with your medical doctor. Your medical doctor can also prescribe mental health medication, but a psychiatrist specializes only in that. A social worker, a licensed social worker, can also do talk therapy. I feel like that one of the big differences between a social worker and a social worker will hold your hand and help you get what you need. So you're looking for housing. A counselor might teach you the skills on how to find housing. They may talk to you about it. They may give you homework so that you can kind of, get there. And I would say a social worker now will do it with you and for you to get those resources. Um, that's the difference. But as you can hear, they're all in the helping profession, all trained to help deal with some tough situations that anyone can go through.
Wow. Thank you for
You're
that.
welcome.
I never knew the difference either. So thank you for the question, Virginia. Um,
Mhm.
I have a question for you. Another question. Since we are a business and professional organization, a lot of people who are attracted to us and and who engage with us in the community are entrepreneurs and business owners. How can entrepreneurs and business owners really engage in the mental field? Like, how would that help them?
Okay. So first, Iota Phi Lambda Sorority Incorporated is my first love. I did not say this in the introduction. Oh yeah, we did. But I am a member of Iota Phi Lambda Sorority Incorporated, 31 years. And I say that's my first love because I do have children and I was married and all that good stuff. But before all the children and all that stuff, I was a member of Iota Phi Lambda Sorority Incorporated. What drew me as an undergrad at Morgan State University was the whole business aspect. And as I shared earlier, I grew up in a business ownership household. So that that drew my attention to Iota Phi Lambda Sorority Incorporated. But also, the crown that I wear is Miss Corporate America. And one of the things is that stress, anxiety, mental health issues relate directly to the corporate world. And how that is from organizations that we work with and for to our personal lives, it relates. And so that's how the mental health issues and mental health awareness relates to the corporate business world. So, for example, if you are a business owner and or you're even trying to start a business, it can be frustrating. It's about networking. It's about sometimes having the finances to make that dream come true. That can be stressful. Sometimes you don't know who to talk to, who to trust. All of that is stress. And the mental health awareness and education, all of that is an example of how it all ties in together.
Oh, wow. Okay. Thank you. What do you wish the um like underserved communities would know more about? Like what if someone from an underserved community came to you and like, okay, how would this help me? Like how would you sell mental health to someone in an underserved community and how and why they should engage with a mental health professional?
Exactly. So honestly, I would ask them to think about a secret that you have. Nobody knows about it because you're embarrassed. You were told not to tell anyone. It was a childhood trauma or a trauma that you have. Think about that. Don't tell me what it is. Just think about it. Then I would ask, did you come up with something? And if the person say yes, I would say you need to talk about that to a professional. Because if it's a secret, secrets are not good. When a person tells you, don't tell nobody, let's keep this amongst ourselves, there's something about that that's like, huh. And especially if it has to do with you and your body. We're talking, I'm going to keep it real. It is Women's History Month. A lot of women have been traumatized um, financially, physically, sexually. And this is the time to work on that self-love by talking about that secret to somebody. So that's how I would encourage the underserved population. But if you notice, what I said relates to all populations, right?
Mhm.
Okay.
We have a question in the chat from Tierra. How
Yeah.
critical is mental health care for women?
Yes. Thank you. Hey, Tierra. How you doing out there? It is very critical. Our mental health spans across our lifespan. So from a child, I gave you my story about being a child, what mom was saying and what we seeing. So from a child, let me say age 3, 4, 5, 6, we beginning to learn who we are, what we like, what we don't like. But what happens with a lot of kids, especially today, children don't know how to use their words. So if I'm a 5-year-old girl and I am mad, I may not say that I'm upset because Betty said she didn't like my hair. What I will do is punch somebody. I will yell, I'll scream, I'll curse, I'll carry on. And now I'm getting in trouble in school, but no one understood what that trigger was. So that's from being young. And of course, what I related also relates to adolescence. And let me go to a woman that is more seasoned. And I'm going to talk about maybe 45 plus. We go through something that we call menopause. It's another issue that we don't talk about. So I'm going to give you an example with me. During the pandemic, I went out to eat with a group of women, and we were sitting down eating, and I got hot, and I was fanning. And somebody said, "Do you need a fan?" I'm like, "Yeah, please." She pulled out a fan, give it to me. I'm fanning. Someone said, "Are you in menopause?" And I'm like, "Talk to me a little bit more about that." Again, I'm a professional, and I told you before, the therapist need a therapist. So I'm gonna give you an example. A dentist. Do you think when he has a cavity, he can take care of his own dental work? No. And when he has a cavity, do you think he knows that he has a cavity? Probably not. He gotta go. Okay, so back to the story, me fanning, get my fan. Are you in menopause? I'm like, I don't know. Like, well, talk to me more about that. Well, we get hot. It's when this is that. And I'm like, I don't know. Let me think about that. So I thought about it. I talked to my mom. I ended up going to the doctor because I missed my menstrual cycle. And I was thinking it was the stress of the pandemic or what. And my doctor told me, congratulations, you're in premenopause. And I'm like, what is that? He explained everything, and he also talked about you have to be a year without seeing your menstrual cycle before it's considered menopause and all of this. So now, the mental health piece for women in menopause, this is how it relates. We get agitated, we get short tempered, our emotions up and down. Somebody just wrote that in there. Yes, regulating your emotions is a real thing. It starts young, yep, and then it also relates to menopause as well. We may make irresponsible and irrational decisions. And so I just describe a range of being a girl to a woman and how the mental health, it all works in there. Here's one other thing too. We use a book called the DSM, the Diagnostic Statistical Manual. Every mental health condition is in there, from ADHD, anxiety, depression, bipolar, to PMS, premenstrual syndrome. It's in there. And all the behavioral things that comes with that biological, it relates to our mental health as women.
Oh, wow. Thank you for that answer too. I hope everyone's learning something. I'm
I'm
learning
learning
a
too
whole
while
lot.
I'm talking.
We have a couple more questions for you.
Mhm.
Uh, well, speaking of resources, your book covers a wide range of topics and struggles. Was there a particular chapter or story in it that was emotional or that you enjoyed writing?
Yeah, definitely. So the book that we're talking about referred to is called Copology, and it's an anthology. So it's my story and other people's stories. But what we did was I asked everyone to write about how faith has helped them with a mental health challenge. So some of the challenges we have in there is loss and grief. Someone lost their mother and father within the space of like 3 weeks, and what that was like and how faith came in. um there's a pastor who wrote about what it's like to be a Black man in America. And the biggest thing he says and how to deal with them is to leave us alone. Let us be. Let us drive without stopping us. Let us walk down the street. Let us jog without, but leave us alone. So those are some examples. Another one was dealing with disability, dealing with infidelity. Um, and the biggest one that I wrote about that stands out for me is the power of prayer. I spoke about being a single mom, and when my son asked me for something that I could not help him with, and all I could tell him is just let's pray about it. And sure enough, it happened in 2 or 3 days. And that was the best example that I can give of how prayer worked as a single mother to her oldest son. And so that example, that piece in the book stands out for me. The other thing in the book, I wrote little techniques to help you deal with stuff. And lately, I've been pulling out that book and going live and reading stuff. So one is self-love, self-care. Men need self-care too. How to deal with anxiety, how to manage your depression, how to help someone who have a disability. There are a lot of caregivers out there, and so that's what the book is about. It is on Amazon. I think we just dropped the link in, but I also have copies as well. It's only $25. But the book, as it states, copology. If we study how to cope when things come up, we already know what to do. We just got to pull on those tools.
All
That's
right,
awesome.
thank you. We will have our last question from Maxine.
Hi.
Great evening, Soros. Hello, Dr. Joanne. Great seeing you again, lovely. How
Thank
are
you,
you
hon.
doing?
I'm doing well. Good to hear you.
Thank you. I am so glad I was able to join the call. I am traveling. I just got out the airport and I came in. I'm like, Gamma Talks. I made it just in
Yay.
time. But my question is around especially in our communities, there's so many, even though many of us have graduated to believe in therapy, there are still so many who do not. When
Yes.
you are in their presence, how do you help someone recognize their need for therapy and to pursue therapy for their
Mm,
betterment?
wow.
It's very we can give them as much leeway as we want to, but when you recognize that there's something else that needs to be addressed, how do you get them to confront, accept, and act?
Excellent. Excellent question. So the first thing we could do, we got to be honest and open with them. So that sister that is acting a little paranoid, she's saying, somebody following her or she lost this. So you can say, hey, sis, honestly, I hear you and I believe you, but I think you need more support. I think you could talk to a professional. So one, we want to validate them, right? We don't want to push them away. Oh, girl, something's wrong with you. You need help. We don't want to do that. But we want to be honest. But in being honest, here's the risk we take. Now you can become the enemy because you're keeping it real. That's okay. We can sacrifice that. But the other risk that is even more important, no one is going to change until they are ready to change. And the change doesn't happen
Mhm.
until they hit rock bottom. And their rock bottom is not our rock bottom. So you may see someone lose a job because of the mental health lack of care. You may
Mhm.
say, oh my goodness, you done lost a job because you keep, I don't know, gossiping, you're fighting with the boss, they done put you out. Now you know it's time for help. They may not see that time. It's still everybody else's fault. I didn't do anything. They're going to fire me just because I did it. Still on that. So what we can do is one, be honest, two, be patient.
Mhm.
We may have to wait a week, 2 weeks, 3 years, 5 years before someone say, I give up. I need help. Now, here's another mental health issue that's in the DSM-5, alcoholism. So as I'm talking, I'm also thinking about a person who is an alcoholic. Their behavior has had an impact. They've had DUIs. They have gotten put out by the family. They still drinking and there's not a problem. The problem is everyone else. They still have to hit rock bottom, whatever that means for them to get help. We can't make them, but we can tell them, hey, look, I really think that you have a problem with drinking. Are you drinking X amount of times of the day? I see you getting in trouble. Like, I don't think this is normal. Think about that. And when you say that, be ready for a cuss out because they're going to be offended that you saying they got a problem and they don't have a problem.
Wow. Thank you, Dr. Joanne. This has been amazing. I want you to be able to get to your resources. Yes, there you go. You can, oh, we spoke about the book, but you can go ahead and
Mhm.
talk
We
about it again if
did.
you like.
Thank you. Thank you. So that book, Copology, as you can see, it is a word that I trademarked, I coined, and I made it public. Copology. Again, using your faith to deal with life challenges, available on Amazon. We did drop the link. Please get it. I know some people are boycotting Amazon, and if you are, call me directly. Let's put my number in the chat because you can get it directly from me. I am not Amazon. I am just Dr. Joanne. My number 301-257-3886. You could also text me. Another resource that we have. Um, so I pay attention to what's going on. We've been here before. We survived the pandemic. We survived needing support week by week, and I've survived giving support week by week. So lately, I've been doing a lot of these types of talks to remind people the help is here, get free help. So one of the things, I created a group for former federal workers. These are the people who recently got fired from their federal jobs that they thought was stable, and also people who are in jeopardy of the job losses, particularly federal employers. So let me see the next slide. If you are in this category or you know anybody who is, go to the next slide. One more. Okay, perfect. This is the support group that we're hosting. It's called Rebuild, Recover, Rise, support group for former federal workers. This group is coming out of George Mason University's counseling program and the students. So the students are practicing getting their degrees in counseling. I'll be supervising them and other professors. Our first group we have is 7 to 8, March 19th, which is, I think, maybe next Wednesday. It is virtual and it is free. The registration information is here. If you want to register and just show up, just to listen. The email is stomp, so it's STHOMP 8 at gmu.edu. What we're going to do, it is 6 weeks to begin with, because we're willing to lengthen it if necessary. We are going to gain emotional support. Some people just want to be heard for now. They want to share what they went through, the challenges. They want to share how angry this is, because it might be related to political changes, world issues. They want to talk. We're here. We have to rebuild our confidence. We have to create a new resume. There's a time that we have to move from I feel to I'm doing. What are we doing? But we need courage and confidence, support to do that. And then we have to learn coping, networking, and job searching strategies. If I had a federal government job and I was stable for the last 20, 30 years, I don't really know the job market. Like what's in, what's out. I don't really use LinkedIn. I don't see how LinkedIn can help me get a job. I don't see how posting on Facebook can help me get a job. The answer to that, it can. But if
Mhm.
I was in that world, I don't know that. Somebody got to teach me that. I need to know. So this is what we'll be doing here. If we can go back, so please take a picture of this screen, send it to folks. You show up, um, if you can, and let's get moving. Let's work. Let's help our people.
Dr. Joanne, I just wanted to reiterate that Gamma Chapter will send out your slide deck. So folks who registered will definitely get this full packet of information and announcements.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you. Another resource, an article that was written about me actually and mental health in Women on Top. It's called Transforming Mental Health, Empowering Communities. So we did drop the link in there. I don't know if anybody could like cut and paste that link and drop it in the chat so that anyone could open it on their own. But if you needed to research it, Women on Top, and just type in Dr. Joanne Frederick. I think that's a really good resource. It just came out about 5 days ago, and so it's relevant to today. And next slide. And then the next slide. All right. So I wear this crown, and I told you it's heavy, just like life. It can be heavy. But like life, we got to take this off some point and put it down. So what that means is the heaviness that we as women carry. We are employers, daughters, we are mothers, we are caregivers, aunts. Sometimes we got to take that crown down and relax, take it easy. So as I wear the crown, again, I am journeying to Miss Corporate America, Maryland. I would love your support. Here are some of the ways you can support me. So tickets are on sale. They are going quickly. The event is March 22nd, which is Saturday at 7 p.m. There are VIP tickets and there's general tickets. VIP, $65, general, $45. And the VIP allows you to do some real networking with the judges and some of the people that are in the corporate world that's going to be there. There are celebrities that are going to be there that are anchoring the event, or getting to learn who the contestants are. And so that's a good networking. Another way you can support me, Finances. I am collecting finances. I have a GoFundMe account, and I also have Cash App. My Cash App is $, excuse me, Ask Dr. Joanne. Yep, we have that link in. Excellent. If somebody could drop the GoFundMe link in, that'll be great as well, if you can. But if you can't, ask Dr. Joanne, and any amount is helpful. Then right now there is a social media award. Some of the contestants, let me tell you about the contestants, all remarkable women, and we are diverse. Some of us are African American, some of us are bicultural, that's me. Some of us are Caucasian women, and some of us, there's one person that's from Brazil, very diverse, different industries, top of the top. So we put out videos on us, our platform, who we are. And the person who has the most likes wins the social media award. I'm going for it. I'm a winner, and I need you all to help me win this award. I'll show you in the next slide. But before we go to that, I realized that I need help backstage. I need one person to support me. So if anybody is available March 22nd, Saturday, and you're okay coming to Baltimore, it's at the Hilton Hotel in the Harbor, and you want to help me, you'll be with me backstage meeting some people, please reach out. I welcome it. Let's talk. Again, my number is 301-257-3886. Text me. We just dropped the GoFundMe in the link. Thank you, Sharonda. You are a lifesaver. Always got my back. I appreciate you being here today, you and Tiara. Next slide. So the next slide, I believe, is the QR code. So if you have Facebook, please pull out your phone, scan this, and how you're going to do that, you're going to go to camera, but you're just going to leave it there until it says Facebook is going to say it in yellow. Click Facebook. You're going to see a video of me, and all you need to do is give me a thumbs up, like my video, and when you have a chance, sit down and watch the video. But for now, vote for me, okay? Thank you. I think, is that the end of our slide deck? Let me see.
It
Yes.
is, and that's your contact information. Again, you can contact her at Dr. Joanne at jflcounseling.org, and that's her phone number and her website. Again, Dr. Joanne Frederick, thank you. Oh, you have one more thing?
One
What's
more
that?
thing. Yes, I'm so sorry. So if you go in my website, you're going to see this. So I have a fundraiser. It's called Boxing with the Queen. If you see me, when y'all see me, I am physically fit. I have lost 30 pounds over, I don't know, a period of time, but within the last 2 months, maybe 17 pounds. I have a coach, a boxing coach. His name is Floyd. So as a fundraiser, I decided to partner with him because he's a Black male from the Bahamas, small Black business, self-care, working out. I have a fundraiser that we're doing on Saturday coming up, March 15th, is in Clinton. We're hosting a boxing fitness event. It's $50 per person, I think, and maybe $80 for a couple. And the information is on my website. But if somebody can drop that flyer in while we move on to announcements, that would help. I would love to see some of you ladies there. Let's work out together for a cause. But most importantly, we talked about self-care and mental health. This is for you, an investment in you. Thank you.
Thank
Very much.
you.
This
Thank
was
you.
excellent, Dr. Joanne.
Thank you.
I just want to say again, very much so on behalf of Gamma Chapter and our Gamma Enrichment and Empowerment Fund, we so appreciate you for being here tonight in the midst of your very intentional journey towards health and wellness and beyond. And so we wish you the best and luck. And we will definitely be sharing your information. Everyone, I want you to give an applause to Dr. Joanne and our programs team and our tech team for making sure this went off without a hitch and that we could spread this good word of information There were so many gems of lessons learned here tonight, Dr. Joanne. And I really love the concept of solutions that you put around boundaries and also connections to people. We have to regain those connections. And so with that being said, I'm proud to announce Gamma Chapter's upcoming events as well. So let's take a quick look. And we want to invite not only our members, but all of our Facebook fans and social media fans to some upcoming events. And Iota Phi Lambda Sorority Incorporated, as a premier business and professional sorority, we have Business Month in April. And so ultimately, we want you to save the date for a virtual vendor expo. And we are also recruiting vendors for that virtual vendor expo. So please reach out to our recording secretary, who happened to also be online tonight, Ms. Virginia Jones, who will be accepting those registrations. Next. Next up, talking about movement to save your mental health, Gamma Chapter is putting on its first Charity Classic Golf Tournament. We are so ultra excited about this event that we are now making sure that it's publicized and that we are recruiting for sponsors. And we are also recruiting teams. So Dr. Joanne, as you are out there on your journey, I want to challenge you to put together a team for our May event. Bring out those corporate folks who are sponsoring you and have them in there with us as we are in Washington, D.C., Langston, the historic Langston Golf Course. So this is kind of a two-tier effort, us being the Washington, D.C. chapter, Gamma. We always love to support our local businesses, and this is one of them. That is a historic golf course that allowed Black Americans, African Americans to play on their course when they were shut out otherwise. However, Gamma is going to make it fun on the greens, and we want everybody to join us. So, and we'll drop the link shortly in the chat. Next. Okay, this is a big one for the chapter. We are proud to be the host chapter for the 96th National Anniversary Convention of Iota Phi Lambda Sorority Incorporated. I'm feeling chills as I'm even speaking about this. It's coming up in July, and we have some really fun activities and fundraisers that we are working in partnership with our Enrichment and Empowerment Fund to ensure everybody enjoys. And so we are able to allow the public to attend, and here's one of the events. Next slide. Yes, homecoming hype. Yes, it's a lot of color in there. Why? Because Gamma Chapter is hyped to welcome our members from across the United States and the U.S. Virgin Islands, as well as our friends, our families. We're pulling together teams, and the goal is to create a homecoming feel similar to the HBCU experience. But we want our attendees to wear their institution or university t-shirts like you see in our advertisement here. So rep your school. Let people know where you were educated and where you probably had a lot of fun too. So that's coming up July 30th. Tickets are $85. Registration is happening now, and you can visit our website, and we will definitely welcome you. So thank you all so much tonight for being here. I'm going to shift it back to our illustrious program chairperson, Sister Alicia Charleston.
All right, well, thank you once again, Dr. Joanne Frederick, for this amazing Gamma Talk. Thank you, friends and family and members of Iota Phi Lambda Sorority Incorporated who came on tonight to support and to listen. Please visit our website and our Facebook page. And again, we will send out the slides for those that registered. All right. Have a good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
night.